Let's discuss now the external factors that affect our happiness. And I'd like to start off this section with another quote, and this is called the Serenity Prayer. Grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And so there's a lot of wisdom in this prayer, or this quote, and that's what this workshop is all about today. So sometimes it may feel like things happen to us that are just completely out of our control. And that's true. We're not able to control the events of things that happen to us. We are able to control how we react to those events, and that's what we just covered with the internal happiness component. But it's important to not let yourself fall victim when there are influences that are outside of your control. However, we are able to influence these external factors more than we think that we are. And so there's three external factors that have the greatest effect on our happiness, and these are relationships, career, and lifestyle. So relationships, career, and lifestyle are the three external factors that have the greatest influence on our happiness. And so let's go through each of these influences individually. So let's start with the first external factor that influences our happiness, which is relationships. So relationships actually have one of the greatest impacts on how happy we are as people. So Stanford did the longest running anthropological study on people, in which they tracked 724 people over the span of 78 years, just tracking their behavioral patterns and seeing if they could come up with any major takeaways. And two of the most profound takeaways that came from this study was, first, that the number one factor that influences health and happiness is quality time spent with loved ones. So the more time you spend with your friends and family, the healthier and happier you will be. And the second major takeaway, that the number one contributor to longevity was relationships. So even more than having a perfect diet or having money or access to healthcare, relationships had the greatest influence on how long you will live. So if you want to live a long life, make sure you maintain good relationships with others. So another study that I'd like to address here is that they did a study on the happiest nations on Earth. And they discovered that there is a very, very strong correlation between nations that prioritize community and the happiest nations. And they actually found that after you adjust for income, the happiest nations on Earth are the ones that prioritize family and community. So these countries were Brazil, Costa Rica, Mexico, and Thailand. So after you adjust for income, these were the happiest nations on Earth, and they're also the ones that most prioritize community and family relationships. Unfortunately, our relationships are under attack. So you know what the number one addiction is? Screens. That means that more people are addicted to screens than any other addiction on the planet. It seems like everywhere you look nowadays is a screen. We've got TVs and computers and dual monitors and tablets, smartphones. There's screens on our watches, screens on our cars, screens on our refrigerators. And with all of these screens, they're just detracting our attention from reality. A lot of these screens and the applications inside of them have algorithms that are specifically built to command and monopolize our attention. And this is directly taking away from and detracting from our relationships and our in-person quality time spent with loved ones. So don't let your screen addiction take over. Now, it's okay to use screens, and in fact, sometimes screens are beneficial for maintaining relationships when you use them for social media or video calls or things of that nature. But the point is that nothing beats in-person interaction. And so the best social interactions occur when you're in person with someone. And these can be as small and minor as eye contact to as deep as an intimate relationship. But in-person interactions are far better than screen-based interactions. And so don't let the screen interactions replace your in-person interactions. Like a plant, relationships grow over time, but you must nurture those relationships. So water those relationships, give them all the seeds and nutrients and everything that you need to grow, and they will grow into very beautiful and valuable relationships over time. And right now you are going to do exactly that. You are going to nurture an important relationship to you. So I'd like you to message a loved one. So reach out to a loved one and express to them just any words of kindness and love and how you appreciate your relationship that you have with that person. So it could be something as simple as, hey, I was just thinking about you. You're such a great friend or family member, and I hope you're doing well. Our relationship really means a lot to me. Or word it however you feel is most comfortable for you. But I would recommend doing this to someone who you actually haven't contacted in a long time. So extra points if you reach out to a friend or family member that you haven't spoken to in the last 3 months or 6 months or even longer. But it's really nice to receive those letters. So on that note, I would recommend doing this activity via written letter, handwritten. I know that's really weird these days, but I actually send out a lot of handwritten letters because it's really personal and it really conveys a piece of you within the letter. Think about the last time you received a handwritten letter. How did that make you feel? You really feel like the person went out of their way to express their love for you. So by the end of this week, reach out to a loved one. I recommend doing it via a handwritten letter, but you can do it via text if you would like. But just simply reach out to someone who you haven't spoken to in a while and share your love for them and how you appreciate your relationship.